Hello everyone, my name is Kevin, and throughout these lessons I will be teaching you how to model 3D objects in Tinkercad. So what is Tinkercad? Tinkercad is a simple CAD software which stands for Computer-Aided Design, where the user creates and combines simple shapes such as circles and squares to form a more complex 3D model. Alright, so to get started, head over to tinkercad.com and sign in or make an account. Alright, so now that you have logged in, go ahead and create a new design. Alright, so now that you've created a new 3D design, this is what it should look like. And to navigate, you can right click, drag, pan around. You can hold down the middle scroll wheel button. Then you can use scroll wheel to zoom in. Alright, so first thing you want to do when you create a new design, you want to check the units. So go to edit grid and select the units you want to work with. I'll use millimeters. Also change the length and width of your work plane. So for now, I'm just going to work with 200 by 200 millimeters. All right, so now I am going to go through all of these shapes on the right and show you what each one does and how to modify them. All right, so first we're going to start with the box. Drag one out like this and put it on the work plane. Now you're going to see a menu with 5 options, and I'll go through each of them. The radius changes the curvature of all the edges on the box. Go enough, it'll just turn into a sphere. And the steps, which will only do something when the radius is activated, so you already have a curve. The steps will change the number of layers in. So having more steps will make the curvature smoother. All right, so and the length, width, height, those are pretty self-explanatory. Just changes the dimensions of your box, and you can click on those and type them in manually to get a more specific number, like this. I'll just do 20, 30, 40. All right, and also you can drag these points on the actual box, change the dimensions. All right, so I'm gonna delete that. You can just hit backspace. And then next, let's drag in the cylinder. And for the cylinder, we have 3 options this time. Sides, which is the number of sides on the body of the cylinder. Yeah. So you can change how round your cylinder is. And the bevel will change the curvature for the top and bottom of the cylinder. And the segment is for the bevel, and it'll change the amount of layers in your bevel. Makes it smoother the more segments you have. All right, so delete this, and we'll move on to the sphere. Sphere is really simple. You just have number of steps, the number of layers, and you can change how round and smooth your sphere is. All right, next we have the Scribble. This one is a little different. So when you first drag it on, this menu will appear, and you can either use this, the draw tool, and you can free draw this. the Scribble, and it'll generate the shape of whatever you draw. And you can see the preview on the top right. And you can adjust the height later after you exit out, but for now, this is what it'll look like. And now you can either go ahead and erase things, this, or you can press the undo and delete everything. And now I'm going to show you the draw shape tool. This one, you just draw an outline of any shape and it'll fill in the middle of the shape for you. So I'm going to do and it'll just fill in the star for you like that. It creates a whole shape. And you can also use this, which is the erase with shape. And you can just out whatever you want to erase like this. And it's gone. Or you can use undo, whatever you want. All right, so I'm just gonna draw something random. Circle. And then once you're happy with your drawing, you're gonna press done. And it'll generate whatever you drew. And here you can adjust the length with all the dimensions. And you can adjust the height either using that in the menu, or you can. All right. On the roof. The roof is, there's no menu because the only dimensions you can change is the length, height, and width, and all those like this. All right, next. All right, this one is the same as the roof. It's just curved. It's a semicircle, and all the dimensions. All right, next, the text. All right, this one you can, in the menu here, you just type out whatever you want it to say. Shape, and it'll just generate the words for you into a 3D object. And you can change the font here if you want. And you can change the bevel. In this case, the thickness of segments. You need to activate the bevel for that. And it'll make it curved. The more segments you have, the smoother it is, like everything else. All right, we'll move on. The wedge. This is basically just the roof, but it's a right triangle. Oh yeah, by the way, you can drag this little arrow thing and you can turn your shapes. If you drag in the inner circle, it'll drag in big like segments of degrees, and if you drag on the outside, you can control it better. Or you can always click on it and type in whatever degree you want. All right, so we'll go next to the pyramid. The pyramid, you can change the amount of sides you want. This, and like everything else, you can change the length, height, and width. All right, here is a half sphere. That's the basic controls. Dimensions. A polygon, this one you can change the amount of sides you want, kind of like the cylinder, and change the bevel and the amount of segments in the bevel. All right, next, Paraboloid. Change the amount of steps, which is a bit smoother. More segments. All right. Next. Course. The radius will change how big your torus is. And the tube will change the diameter or radius of the actual tube. You can make it thinner or thicker. The sides will change the amount of segments that go around the circles. Having more sides will make it smoother. And the steps will change how many segments those circles are divided in. So the more steps you have, the rounder it is. The rounder the circle is. All right, next, tube. Kind of like the torus. You can change the radius, which is just how big your circle is. The wall thickness, how thick your walls are. Sides, it'll just change the amount of sides that are in the body of the tube. The more sides you have, the smoother it is. All right, so, and the bevel, like everything else, it'll curve the top and the bottom. That bevel segments make the bevel smoother. All right, go next to the heart. Honestly, these heart and stars, they're actually no. The heart is just simple, just length, height, and width, and the stars are a little more complex. This one is just the same as the heart, but this star right here, the sort of cone-shaped star, you can change the amount of points there are in the star. This change the radius, which just makes the whole star bigger, and you can change the inner radius. That'll just make it pointier, less pointy. All right, that is the cone star, I guess. Isosahedral. This one, can't really change the sides of it, or you can't change how many sides there are, but you can change the dimensions. That's pretty much it. All right, so next we'll do the ring. This one is actually pretty cool. For the ring, see this diagram right here? You can drag the point in the diagram and shape out what the cross section of the ring is. So see how as I'm adjusting these points, it is shaping the cross section of the ring. I make it, let's say, thinner. It'll make it super thin. Thicker. Whatever shape I make in here. You can use these to tilt. Sorry. All right, you can use these to tilt the points and make them wavy and curved. You can go ahead and experiment with that. And the sides, it is just the amount of segments in circles. So more sides means smoother. Next we have the dice. This one is just a dice shaped object. It is just a square with rounded corners and circle faces. And this one you can just change the length, height, and width. Next we have the diamond. Oh, that's the last one. All right, so the diamond, pretty self-explanatory. You can just change the dimensions. There's no menu. All right, and we have gone through all of the basic shapes. All right, and in the next lesson, I will teach you how to use these shapes and combine them and create objects.